So, how does your gut feel? Can you focus on your gut, like the tubes? And if you focus on it, you may feel a tickle. It's a nice sensation to focus on. Hold it for 1 second, I'm gonna show you a trick with it. Can you feel it? There are liquids in there, something stings, something stinks. And stare at the screen next to me. Yeah, I'm sure you like my ass now. And I do the same thing with C. This is C code. Same thing. Shell functions. Same thing. While, do, done. And I wanted to let you know that this is a fine reaction, okay? I absolutely understand. Most people, they're not shown functions, they're not shown this style of coding in a very impressive way. When you want to learn how to play basketball, you aspire to good basketball players and you watch them play, and there you see all of the advanced techniques and you don't question any of them. You can say that I'm not good enough to do that, but you don't question these techniques. However, when it comes to programming, the dynamic is a little different. Usually there is more forced stuff and someone threw you in a code base that looks like this and you can't do anything with it. And then they don't help you because they're programmers. They became programmers in order to not help anybody. They want to escape life by becoming programmers. And now you're stuck with this. There is a wall there. There is code here. The wall there. Anyway. And I want to spread this message. I also came into the whole programming thing because I hate people, basically. I want to talk to a computer. I didn't want to talk to people, and it looked like programming will be this way. So I said, no, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I hope that something like what happened to me will happen to you too, and you'll make a big turnaround. And eventually you realize that people are not something to escape from, because people always decided when you'll go to sleep, and people always decided what your mood is, and people decide how fast you'll grow and learn, how quickly you'll be someone who the others can trust, how quickly you can be someone who the others want to give freedom to, especially a manager of sorts. Okay, just hoping that the mouse isn't somewhere very annoying. It disappears to me, and I'm aware that in the capture video it stays all the time. Yeah, it's big, but it disappears. Like, it disappeared now. Anyway, I would like to introduce you to one or two of the ideas of why you would actually want to do this. Can I see how long the video is? No. Anyway. Set up theme switches. For each theme switch, make it toggle the theme. Can you see one of the benefits? Well, you can see one of the downsides immediately. The downside is obvious. Yes. What is this? Exactly. Yes. Yes, you are right. But let me make something clear. Okay. Did you know that in mathematics, parentheses weren't really a thing until relatively recently? And you can guess why, right? Because they didn't use parentheses. Whenever it is that you would want to use the parenthesis, they would name a variable. I mean, that's a lot of variables, but it doesn't matter. Also, have you seen Tailwind CSS? Or the way GNU works? Well, the idea of having something tiny in general is always there. It takes some getting used to, but eventually you'll make it. And I believe in you. You will make it. And okay, let me show you some of the positives, because the downsides are obvious. Yes, you can't read this now. For each theme switch, make it toggle the theme, you can plop something else in it. Function, try for each theme switch. For each theme switch, let's see. Okay. Okay. Oh. Not bad. And I haven't prepared for this actually. Okay, it worked. Make. Oh, let me check something real quick. Oh shit! Anyway, yeah, let me reload and try for each theme switch. For each theme switch, I can try it. And I can see whether it works or not. I can't see either, but somewhere up there. Anyway, and in a similar way, you can try out other stuff. Let me delete that thing, I don't like it. Where was I? Now you can try out anything, especially these ones. Show brightness, store lighting. Make it bright does both. And here's that second positive. Yes, let's actually play around, why not? Refresh. This is what toggles the theme, right? This is the theme switch. Toggle theme, toggles the theme. And if you refresh it, keeps it, but you can only show darkness, which doesn't store anything. You can only store the dark theme, which doesn't change anything, but it stores the fact that I hit refresh. So if you refresh, it remembers that it should be dark. And another benefit, and this is what Robert Martin emphasizes a lot: make it dark. Show darkness, store dark theme. I only wonder how you store the dark theme. I can skip the first part. And I want to emphasize this, because what if it wasn't tiny functions? First of all, you wouldn't be able to try them. And let me make it more clear what I mean. Here's the exact equivalent, but without tiny functions. Store dark theme. That's the equivalent. Yes! So much better! Why didn't you always do it this way? Why did you make it complicated? Look at this. It has nice little oranges in it, and it has nice little greens. Beforehand it was just blue, like this. How is that any better than this? I can read this. Yes, you can. Now, Give me a way to say, oh my, make it dark. Execute from make it dark. Find me a way to do this. What I would like to happen is between this. Yes. Store between that and the end of the scope it executes. Can you execute between two comments? You can't execute between two comments. Why can't you execute something between two comments? Why does no language give you that ability? Because you have to realize that sometimes as people we want the computer to talk to us, and we can be very selfish and we can demand that the computer must talk our language while we don't learn its language. I'm not a big fan of that. I strongly believe, let me check the top, I've seen it all in the past. Okay, I strongly believe that you can't do this. You need to find a language that's in between you and the computer, because you're working together and the computer can't understand comments. The comments have nothing to understand, while function names do. So if a function name means to you a comment, but to the computer it means something like 2 breakpoints, now you can work together with the computer. You can tell it, you know that thing I commented, I want it to run. And you can absolutely do that. You know what I commented as show darkness, show brightness. I'd like you to do it. Can you do it? You're like, yes, I can do it. Of course I can do it. Because it sacrifices from being a good comment. Now you don't see it. Also, it's camel case bullshit, which I don't like, by the way. And has exactly parentheses in the end. It's all ugly. It's not like a beautiful comment. And you have to jump to definition, yes, but the computer understands it. The computer doesn't understand this. By the way, if you remove it, this is not a superior. Like, you won't convince me that this is superior. Now you have to read make it dark. What does make it dark do? Does it store anything? What does it do? Well, class list, okay, I think I get it. Theme wrapper. What's this? Okay, the idea of something, and I need a class list. What for? Oh, I see. I had a class. Oh yeah, maybe the class is what makes it what? It's probably what makes it dark. Okay. Okay, I think I get it. I got it now. Now? How about now? You can clearly see the downsides, so I'm not going to refer to the downsides, but the positives are not very obvious. One of the big positives that I didn't show you is in a for loop you can see whether or not something breaks at all. So you can see how whenever there is a wrapping of some kind, something at the top, something at the bottom, or some way to get out of a scope, if it's tiny, then you can clearly tell whether it gets out of scope. I don't think I have any foppen. I actually do. Okay. Anyway, not too sure about this, but in general, here's an interesting one. A log main. This is the one that is being oh, you source this. Okay, log main, and you can do one of these sandwich loop, and if you look at what it does, you can see that it doesn't break. If there's no continue, there is no break, and it loops until the end of a file, every two this. Look at how slowly I can read it now. If it was one big function, I would be able to read it immediately. I would read it like crack, 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 crack. I could read all of it relatively easily. And why not? Well, why am I reading this slowly? Because you're a slow ass. Well, take a look at why. Let me try to like verbalize what's going on in my mind. Sandwich loop. Well, while sleeping, do a sandwich until end of file. Done. Okay. Okay. While reading a line, which is considered to be a script, sandwich it once, whatever that means. Okay. So it happens for every line, for every, even if you reach end of file, you keep on going. Okay. Sandwich once, prompt for log, a log patty. This makes zero sense actually, I don't know what's going on. Oh my god. Oh yeah, I remember. It prints a prompt. Anyway, if you can guess what this does, you'll get a prize. There's no way you will, but you may give it a shot in a way. So if there is file open, file close, you'll see them there. And this is one reason why you'll be slow. Because as you're reading, you're realizing whether or not something breaks, continues, if files close, if memory was freed, you'll have to realize all of it. So yes, you're slow, but I don't value speed that much, to be honest. We are all young men. We value things that are easy to learn, fast and cool, which if you look at how expert programs work, I mean in any field, the expert will work in a very different way than the, and the hobbyist or the new one. But these expert programs just have nothing to do with any stereotypes of programming that you may have. They're not like a man in a room at all. Now that you discover it, I'm not sure it's for right now. Okay, let me spoil it for you. It's two people on one computer, like pilots in an airplane, and they write functions like this all the time. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, I wish you good luck. I totally understand everything, okay? You don't have to write any functions. But whenever I make something personal, I like to go small because it has a bunch of downsides, but the downsides have to do with speed. The upsides have to do with debugging. The upsides have to do with testing. The upsides have to do with constantly being in a state that things work. And if a function doesn't change, and any of the functions that it calls that don't change either, and you go recursively and basically this thing doesn't change ever, then this function will mature over time because you'll remove its bugs and you'll get a stable function that you build on top of, that you embed inside of other functions. So you can know that parts of the code are good. If you don't have a function there, you have a few lines of a bigger function. What's the guarantee that those will not change their purpose over time? So if it's a function that is put there, the function may grow and mature and become better. Anyway, which I don't think it matters nearly as much as the people thing. The people thing, the social aspect. I think this video has dragged on for too long and I didn't really give a lot of information, so I wish I could talk so much more about Tailwind CSS style of programming and Unix style of programming, when you have kernel system calls, you bunch them up into programs in this shell, that's almost nothing. And if you want, anyway, that's it. Maybe I'll do a third take. I think this is pretty good enough. Bye.